Today we are working Psalm 131. Psalm 131 is one of the Ascension Psalms. It's used in Psalm magic to overcome arrogance. And today I want to use Psalm 131 to align ourselves with the divine design. There's a divine design for each of us. Just like you have a thumbprint, you also have a divine design, the way that you were created as a soul. And when you're in alignment with that divine design, everything works out for you. Like the way the iron filings show up in a particular pattern on a magnet. We're going to work Psalm 131 to allow for the divine design of our lives to manifest. The way we work psalm magic is very simple, easy, and effective. We take the psalm in question and we read it out loud once all the way through without stopping. This is called an incantation. And then we go back through that same psalm and we dig for hidden occult meanings within each verse. And we try to apply what we find there to whatever the situation at hand is or whatever our goal happens to be. And by doing that, we are taking those magic seeds that we find and planting them in the depths of our mind where they take root. They grow, they blossom forth, and then they bear fruit after their kind. And that's exactly what we are going to do together right now with Psalm 131. Lord, my heart is not haughty, nor mine eyes lofty. Neither do I exercise myself in great matters or in things too high for me. Surely I have behaved and quieted myself as a child that is weaned of his mother. My soul is even as a weaned child. Let Israel hope in the Lord from henceforth and forever. It starts out with, Lord, my heart is not haughty, nor mine eyes lofty. Let's orient ourselves to what we mean by Lord. The Lord in magic is not the same thing as the Lord in religion. In religion, it's some deity that we have to appease so that we either get nice things or it stops hurting us. From a magical point of view, the Lord represents the singular power of the universe, the force, if you will. And it's not a gender, it's not a deity. It is the force. It's the one force in all the universe, and there is but one. One source, one force, one substance in all the universe. Since there's only one, nothing can go up against it. Nothing can challenge it. Therefore, aligning with this force, orienting toward that force, our success is assured. Lord, my heart is not haughty, nor mine eyes lofty. It doesn't mean that we're self-deprecating, saying that we're not good enough. It's the opposite of that. It's saying that my ego mind, when it tries to think for itself and all by itself, it brings me away from the divine design. It brings me to things that aren't good enough for me. Because infinite intelligence, the Lord, wants only the best for us. And the ego mind wants to prove that there is no Lord, wants to prove that we're not good enough, wants to prove that we are lowly. The arrogance of the ego is such that when we start to come up with our own ideas, because of the power of our minds, we start creating experiences in those ideas. And then we have experiences that prove to us, or at least attempt to prove to us, that we're not good enough, that we are lowly. And that's not God's will. That's not the Lord's will. That's not the will of infinite intelligence. The will of infinite intelligence is that we recognize and remember our power. We are very powerful. We are very bright. We are beloved. You are a unique, individual extension and expression of this force. Think of a beam of light radiating from a star, all in its own beautiful way. Or a color radiating from a prism. Yeah, it's part of one light, but it's a color. It's its own color. And that's you. You're a unique individual expression. And you're supposed to be, according to what God's will for you is, happy, prosperous, successful, powerful, joyous, free. And anything that doesn't look like that, it's because we're trying to think all by ourselves and come up with our own ideas. The ego mind's idea in all of this is to prove to us that we are separate, to prove to us that we are different than our Creator. The only way to prove that you're different than perfection is to find ways that you're not good enough. Infinite intelligence, God, the Lord, doesn't have thoughts that you're not good enough. That doesn't come from infinite intelligence. That comes from you. So that's what this haughty, lofty thinking is thinking all by yourself, thinking that you could be greater than perfection. The only way you can be greater than perfection is by proving that you're imperfect. And you can't ultimately prove that you're imperfect, but you can believe you are. Neither do I exercise myself in great matters or in things too high for me. So great and high in this regard, meaning different than, separate from. Think of Icarus. Why do you want to go higher than the sun? Why do you want to be more perfect than perfect? To try to prove that you're more perfect than perfect is to prove that you're different than perfect. It's to prove that you're imperfect. This whole first verse is saying, I'm not doing that. The heart is the deep mind. The heart is the habitual mind, knowing something by heart. You are habituating yourself to the idea that you already are perfect, that you already are an expression of light, of love, of peace, of joy, of uniqueness, and that you don't have to fix yourself. You don't have to improve yourself. God already made you perfect. There's nothing to improve on. And your improving is actually your ego's trick to try to get you thinking that you're different than perfection, that you're different than good. In other words, that you're not good enough. Surely I have behaved and quieted myself as a child that is weaned of his mother. My soul is even as a weaned child. Now, there are many ideas about this verse. And one that I find quite fascinating is that it's one of the few places where the idea of Asherah, the wife of Yahweh, the female counterpart, the divine mother, wasn't taken out of the Bible. Surely I have behaved and quieted myself as a child that is weaned of his mother, my soul even as a weaned child. Even when you're weaned, even when you don't need the mother for direct nourishment anymore, the mother is still there with the child. The mother is still there taking care of the child, and that's you. So even though you have gone through this idea of separation, even though you have gone through these experiences that the ego mind has tried to prove to you that you're not good enough, tried to prove to you that you're less than. Those are those lofty ideas that it was talking about. Even though you have been weaned in that regard, the mother is still with you. The mother still takes care of you. You can't do anything to make infinite intelligence, whether it be as father or mother in your mind, think any less of you. And it's so important to realize this. Then we stop trying. We don't even realize how much energy we put into trying to prove how bad we are, how not good enough we are. It's such a habit that we don't even know we do it anymore. And once you realize that it doesn't matter, you can't change the infinite's opinion of you. It's not going to happen. You are beloved regardless of anything you think you did or didn't do in the past, present, or future. There's nothing you can do to make the infinite stop loving you. Since this is such a short psalm, I'm going to do those two verses together so that you can get this as a clip from this new point of view, this new understanding. Lord, my heart is not haughty, nor mine eyes lofty. Neither do I exercise myself in great matters or in things too high for me. Surely I have behaved and quieted myself as a child that is weaned of his mother. My soul is even as a weaned child. So you're unique and beloved, and any mistakes you've ever done, anything that you've ever tried to do to prove that you're separate from this force is inconsequential, because you are constantly at peace. You are constantly in the presence of that divine mother and divine father. Let Israel hope in the Lord from henceforth and forever. In this regard, Israel, you can think of it as the congregation in your mind, the totality of who you are. the allness of you. You're making an edict for the entirety of your being. Let Israel, that's the all of you, hope in the Lord from henceforth and forever. To hope in the Lord is not the modern sense of hope. The modern sense of hope is rather negative. Oh, I hope it works. Hope in the Lord means absolute certainty. I know when I get up and walk across the room that the floor will be there, that the ground will be there. I don't hope the ground doesn't swallow me up. I know that the earth is going to be there. I know that there's going to be a sunrise. I know there's going to be a sunset. I know that I'm going to take a breath. I know certain things. And this world is so uncertain that if I can have that much certainty in this uncertain world, I can very much have that same kind of certainty and then some in infinite intelligence, because the infinite is unchangeable. The infinite is forever. The infinite is constant. I'm telling my entire congregation, we're telling the entire body of who we are as souls. Let Israel hope in the Lord from henceforth and forever. From this moment on, I am not looking back. I'm not questioning how good I am. I'm not questioning myself. I'm not going to be hypnotized by the ego anymore into thinking anything less of myself. Those are those lofty, haughty ideas, those arrogant ideas that somehow God messed up with me. God's good at everything but me. I'm the big oops of God. No, we're not doing that anymore. We're recognizing, no, the infinite doesn't create junk, and I wasn't created as junk. I was created as a unique individual soul, and I am powerful. I am valuable. I am essential in the mind of the infinite. Since it's only 3 verses, we'll just go ahead and do it again. Lord, my heart is not haughty, nor mine eyes lofty. Neither do I exercise myself in great matters or in things too high for me. Surely I have behaved and quieted myself as a child that is weaned of his mother. My soul is even as a weaned child. Let Israel hope in the Lord from henceforth and forever. It's a wonderful balm for the mind and the soul. And for those of you working on ascension paths, this is it. You're letting go of everything that is unlike the perfection that you are, that you were created to be. The divine design of your life is now made manifest in every way. No matter what it is, whether it's financial, whether it's health, whether it's relationships, no matter what it is, let the divine design of your life show itself and prove itself to you in this moment. Just keep coming back to the same psalm every day until you get a sense of certainty and peace about whatever the matter was that you brought to the psalm. And once you get that sense of peace and certainty, that means your spell has been cast and you don't have to cast it anymore, and you can move on to something else. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Until next time, blessed be.